We'll
We'll
do a
do a
bunch
bunch
of
of
stuff. I love that tune.
Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I am the Field, also known as Field Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. I do not have tea because my kettle has decided to rebel. I shall punish it with sufficient severity at a later time. However, due to my love of you, my audience, I shall suffer through this hour of having no tea. Dreadful, I know, but I do it for you. Now, a different kind of stream. We had our little talk about. Oh, by the way, I've thought of another name. So we've got we've got Inquisitors, Sectarians. I thought Acolytes. That's another good one with sufficient religious sounding name. So that's another one to press if you guys are on the Twitter. Speaking of which, please go ahead and share me with your friends. And so I just wanted to talk just a little bit after seeing the slanders against PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, do your part. T-Series must be beaten at all costs. Because they are a corporation, all that stuff. You know all the reasons why PewDiePie must remain number one until I overtake him. So that's why T-Series win. The real reason is because I need to win, and that might take a while. So do your part to make sure that PewDiePie stays at least ahead of them. In any time, in any case, we had our little discussion about the acolytes, about the inquisitors, about the sectarians. We had our talk about those people. We had to talk about their religion, what it is, what it does, and how it's weird and creepy and a little bit gross. Guru, I don't know if we went to the moon, and I don't care. I don't think it has any effect on my life at all, whatever. So, there we go. I was wondering what hashtag get woke, hashtag cube earth, Sarge. So, the thing I was thinking about, the moon might be too big, so we just need to go to the moon instead. Go to the moon instead. Ugh. See, this is the problem with not having tea. Ugh. I am dreadfully irate at my kettle at the moment. How dare it quit working at this vital juncture? I shall have words with it after the stream, I promise you. Boy. Anyway, so we had, in order to balance all of that, let's talk a little bit about what it takes to build things. And I've noticed people pushing back against the idea of communities and the demarcations of where they go. And the funny thing is a lot of their criticism, this is coming from Ethan Van Sciver, the author and artist of an upcoming comic book series called Cyberfrog, I believe. Keurigs are for plebs. I have a teapot and a kettle, like a gentleman. Sarge. Bigger Bear is an electric kettle. I don't have a stove in my studio. I can't have a stove in this studio. Are you insane? Terrible heresy, I say. And boy, you've squirreled me already. Where was I? Yes, communities. And the thing is the acolytes. I like acolytes. The acolytes like to cordon people off into these little communities. And the way they identify these communities and demarcate the boundaries of them is a little bit strange to me. You see the gay community, the African American community, the people of color community, the Jewish community, the Latinx community, because they hate Spanish apparently, the immigrant community, and then the communities for white people. You got the Star Wars community, the Doctor Who community, you got the comics community, and you got the gaming community, and these are all apparently communities. And the thing about the acolytes is after they've identified all of these groups of people who have the smallest connections with each other, from a shared skin color to a shared enjoyment of media, is what they consider to be membership in a community. After demarcating these communities, they give themselves the power to excommunicate you from them. And that's where we were. Not really there? Let's count there. But the thing about a community is it isn't built around just a shared interest. It isn't built around just a skin color or a common ancestry. It's built on shared values. Any kind of building, any kind of community as it is built on anything other than shared values, is like a house built on sand. And I'm sure we're all familiar with that particular parable and what happens when we come across a flood. So we've got something like a community here. Not just on my stream, we've got other people's streams. We've got Pinder, we've got Eric Nimmer. We've got, of course, Owen Benjamin, and some bigger names like Steven Crowder, formerly Gavin McInnes. He's been Alex Jones. And I think they're members of, maybe they're members of our community. Not necessarily just the Unbearables, which is a cross between a fan group and, I don't know, a club? Yeah, a club. That's a good word for it. Hashtag not a cult. Yeah, hashtag not a cult. So, but the community itself is built on certain values that we can, in general, consider common. I think probably like the importance of freedom of speech, the importance of free thought, the importance of family, the importance of tradition, and the importance of the right to self-preservation. And I think those kind of 5 values, there might be more we could go and pick out and try and figure out, I'm sure. But I think those 5 are a good foundation for building things, which is why we see things like Owen Benjamin's stream get huge, and people love it, and there's a lot to love in them. And things like Louder with Crowder. And they're built on these values. And so it might be really good to try and build some more things on these values. More than just, oh, Big Riggin, the Christmas Carol was very good. Yes, that kind of Colt Kodiak, not the other kind, Goose Bear. How dare you? That is slander and libel and all the bad things that you can't do. But back to what I was saying, the positive things, like, come on, guys, I said on my Facebooker thing, let's try and go for something a little bit more positive today, even though my kettle is in rebellion against me. It is irritating. Golly, I want that tea. I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't complain. In any case, we got the shows. We got meeting with Big Bear. We've even got a children's book completely written. But that project runs into the problem that I can't draw. And Artling hasn't got back to me yet. I might bug him again. That would be great. I would love to sell you guys the Oso Grande book. Figure out a deal that an illustrator would be willing to accept and go from there. Hey Dax, I've heard funny things about you, and I won't say what they are. I'll just let you wonder, sit there, and agonize about what I may have heard about you from Sarge. Aha, take that. Yeah, but Pinder is insanely busy at the moment, Big Rig and Bear. I've as you know, I talk to Pinder regularly. He's got quite a lot on his plate. Fiverr, I might check it, but we're talking like several pages of full page illustrations, and they need to be dynamic and interesting enough for children to enjoy looking at. So that's going to be something. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit on Friday. and I need to get someone. I need to get a fun topic for Saturday. That'll be fun. Whoever I figure out will, of course, be fun because Saturday interviews are a fun thing, and they're always fun because awesome. I have zero shame in talking myself up for Saturday interviews because I think they're the best part of this show. And I won't stop. I need to, but I will figure that out probably tonight. So, be on the lookout for that. But and when it comes to community, a lot of people who agree with us, a lot of people who have the same beliefs that we do, they engage with a community like this on a day-to-day basis without really knowing it. People who go to work for companies that stay true to purpose, people who go to good churches, people who engage in honest contracts, people who speak with each other with honesty and without malice. They engage in the kind of community that I think that we want to have. It's clear to me that there are some people, some acolytes of a certain religion, who are less than thrilled with our kind of community because some of the core things they dislike, like the ability to disagree with them, they dislike that. The ability to protect ourselves from them, they dislike that. The ability to protect our to own our own, to own what we produce and to dispose of it in a voluntary manner, they dislike that as well. And I think they've actually done quite a good job in wrecking what we consider to be community, or have considered to be community for a very long time. When you have... Actually, let's go ahead and look it up right now. Let's look something up live. Illegitimacy rate, United States. There we go. Latest statistics on illegitimate births, national, according to the National Review. Shucks. I really hope I didn't mess up the chat window. Okay, it looks fine. I'm trying to move it around on my screen. Oh. So we've got 72% of black babies are now born out of wedlock, and 66.2% of American Indians, Alaska Natives born out of wedlock, 53.3% of Hispanics, and 29.1% of non-Hispanic whites, and 17.2% of Asians/Pacific Islanders, and that is 40.7% overall. National Review calls this a disaster, and I can't help but agree. And that is one of the pillars, one of the foundation stones I was talking about earlier. Family. Because you learn social interaction from your family first. You learn how to deal with other people from the first other people you come into contact with. And who are that? Well, your mom and your dad. And if you're particularly lucky, your siblings. And then after that, you meet your aunts and uncles, your grandparents. You meet your cousins. And then you start going out and meeting strange kids. And that's how you learn how to deal with people. You deal with people who you don't get to get away from for most of your childhood. You learn how to deal with people by dealing with people who you cannot escape at all. But what happens if the people who you learn how to deal with socially are horrifyingly dysfunctional? Well, you end up with let me try and let me see if I can push wrong button. Okay. I'll search something. No, that's not it. There we go. Let me see if I can. There we go. Sorry for the dead air. I'm trying to find what you get. You get. Never mind. Why does it do this to me? See, now my Florida man is messed up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry again. I was trying to deal with my teapot. This is what you get right here. There you go. You get that. That's what you get. That's what you get when you're raised in a dysfunction. Or when you're raised by dysfunction. You get that. You also get. You can also get some other really interesting things. Like, well, what else happens? Oh, there we go. You also get that. And a teapot and my computer are conspiring against me. You are correct. Those things are what happens when you're raised without community. You get a descent into a Lord of the Flies hellscape. Now, someone might put it in a colorful way if you wanted. And I don't think that's an incorrect way of putting it. I think you get people who are so sensitive that they can't even stomach the very idea of someone even disagreeing with them mildly is cause to scream to the heavens, or you get people with so little self-control that they think that the way to get what they want is to go out and take it by force. And that's what happens when you take away the real start of community.
The trial began today for a Florida woman accused of helping orchestrate the death.
Why how you do. Ugh. Squirreling. I know, Big Rick and Bear. Not the best show. Not the best tonight. But, and that's the real danger of not having real community. But what you actually, instead of focusing on these fake communities, instead of focusing on the fake community around skin color, around race, around ancestry, around media you happen to like, instead of focusing on those fake communities, if you focus on the real community, which is families who live together productively, if you focus on the real community, then you have a beautiful thing. You have people working together every day in a peaceful, productive way to make the world better for the children that they brought into this world. Which is why, if you're going to make babies, get married. And if you're and if you are if you're not married and you made a baby, then you've done a horrible thing and you should feel great shame. But all joking aside, is that's you've put yourself in a really tough spot, especially when you think about the fact that there are so many people. If you just think about the fact that there are so many people who are in that kind of situation, they have less of a community to catch them when they fall as well. And so if you just it's a little bit difficult right now for me to put this into words. I think it's important to I think it's very important to yeah, you're right, it does take a village, as they say. It takes a community to raise a child. It takes a functional community to raise a child. The children who are raised in a dysfunctional community, well, as I showed you, they end up so thin-skinned that the nearest breeze will cause them to bleed, or so impulsively insane that they rob and murder. Of course, there's quite a lot of middle ground in between those two extremes, but when you happen to have enough of those extremes to have A, Antifa, and B, MS-13, I'd say you might have more than a little bit of a problem. Just a little bit of a problem. So I think it's important to bear that in mind when we talk about community. If you focus on the raising of the kids who have been brought into this world, if you focus on that instead of on the fake communities, I think it leads to a better outcome, and I think it's the right thing to do. Like, if you want to be a fan of media, that's fine. You can always be a fan of media, but that's not. But you can like Star Wars without trying to build a community around Star Wars. It's just a collection of pretty good movies. Well, alright, the original trilogy are technical masterpieces of storytelling, but it's been on a steep decline ever since. And the Ewoks were terrible, I will admit that. Not good. Not good, I know. I admit it. The actual plot, Andrew J., the actual plot of Last Jedi was technically good. it was very well written, and the thing that kind of that kind of degraded it to the point where it's not up to the quality of the previous two films is, of course, the Ewoks. Steve, you're trying to trigger me right now, and it won't work. Pinder, you're trying to trigger me right now. So, the things that we can. Have a good night, Shamrock. You're gonna miss the Florida man. It's like we've got our little group here, and we've got the guys on replay. If you're catching this on replay, now's a great time to add a comment, because I will read it and I'll think about it, and maybe I'll even talk about it tomorrow. Wouldn't that be great? I think so. But I would like to know what your idea is about building community. Like, we're buddies, and that's a good start. But what does it really take to have a community? Like, guys who are live, throw your ideas in the chat right now. Everyone who's catching this on the replay, now would be a really good time to add a comment. I'll, of course, read it. I'll probably reply. And I might even talk about your idea tomorrow, because that would be fun. And I do rather enjoy fun things. So I would really like to know, has anyone got any ideas on how to take our group of buddies to more of a community, and what that even means? Kodiak, don't look into it. Steve is just trying to trigger me, and it won't work because I am strong. Well, alright, Steve. Fender, I will. I'm sure that Dom will learn about that in due course. Yes. Sarge, if you take anything that comes out of the Academy Awards seriously, then I seriously question your judgment. So every village needs an idiot. That's a good suggestion. I think every community needs its stories. There we go. Let's go to that. Yeah, there we go. I'll look at you just a little bit closer. You get a little less high definition, kind of grainier, but that's okay. You can see my bow tie slightly better, and my mic have its Me Too moment. If anybody lives near Goose Bear, I think someone's holding him hostage. Pray for Goose Bear. I told you, you won't trigger me, Pinder. You won't trigger me. I refuse to let you do it. Kodiak, he's only trying to trigger me. Like, Rogue One wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. It was Pinder, it was mediocre at best, and you know it. That was a good scene. Now, that was actually very well executed. No, I'm correct, Pinder. I am correct, and everyone knows it, and everyone knows you're just trying to trigger me, because it amuses you for some reason. And someone's apparently slipped some soy into Pinder's drink, because none of the characters in Rogue One had an arc at all, and the entire film was a foregone conclusion, but they failed to convey anything that even approaches tension in the film. And they couldn't even trick you into forgetting you knew the outcome. Andrew J., you are technically correct, because every love story is a better love story than Twilight. No. It was just poorly written, but it had technical excellence insofar as, special effects and cinematography, and it had pretty good acting. Rogue One. A New Hope is the first Star Wars movie that they made. Andrew J., you've misspelled dope. But in any... Yes, Obama would like you to hope you'll have some change in your pocket. And that's it. Clearly it. But we've scrolled away from you guys having any kind of discussion on community building. So instead, we will go straight into Florida Man. Where's my button? For some reason, video started playing. Where are we? There it is. So, love triangle, not alligators, caused Florida man's death. Confessed killer testifies. So, Florida man has gone from stealing shoes to being dead. A tragic tale. A Florida man testified this week about fatally shooting his best friend, who was long suspected of falling victim to alligators because he was having an affair with the friend's wife. Florida man told a courtroom. Florida man is the dead man in this story. Sorry. Brian Winchester told a courtroom in Tallahassee that he killed his best friend, Florida man, in 2000 and hid his body because he was having an extramarital relationship with Florida man's wife, who is now on trial for first-degree murder, the Tallahassee Democrat reported. This is, of course, Huffington Post. Sorry, couldn't find another source for this story. We were best friends. Bonnie and Clyde, partners in crime, Winchester, 48, said in the court of the affair. Winchester's remarks came as the prosecution presented its case against Williams on Wednesday, the second day of testimony. According to prosecutors, Denise Williams collected $1.75 million from life insurance claims following the death of her 31-year-old husband. She and Winchester married in 2005, but the relationship eventually fell apart. Winchester is now serving a 20-year prison sentence for kidnapping her in 2016. Winchester confessed last year to fatally shooting Florida man after prosecutors agreed to not put him on trial. He told jurors that he and Denise Williams began having the affair in 1997. The more we were together, the more we wanted to be together, Winchester said. Overall, it was very mutual. We wanted to be together, and we weren't going to let anything stop that. He said the two plotted together how to murder her husband, a plan he said was put into action on December 16, 2000. Winchester testified he lured Florida man out to Lake Seminole, I think, Seminole, under the premise of duck hunting. Once out on the water, he said he pushed his best friend out of the boat in the hopes he might drown. When Florida man grabbed a stump, Winchester said he was forced to improvise. I didn't know how to get out of that situation, so I loaded my gun and made 1 or 2 circles around, and I got closer to him, and he was in the water. As I passed by, I shot him in the head, Winchester said. He detailed for the jury how he pulled Florida man's body into the boat, took it to a secluded area of northern Leon County, and buried it in a makeshift grave. At the time, no one aside from Denise Williams, the prosecutor alleges, knew that anyone had been with Florida man on the lake that day. When he failed to return home, a search party was organized. His truck was found parked along the shoreline, and his canoe was discovered floating nearby. The missing man's hunting license, jacket, and hip waders were later found in the water, according to CBS 48 Hours. The discoveries reportedly led investigators to suspect Florida man had fallen into the water and been devoured by alligators. The location of Florida man's body remained a mystery for 17 years. They found Florida man exactly where Brian said he would be. Prosecutor John Butchess, that's a silly name, told the jurors during opening arguments on Monday. During his own opening remarks, Denise Williams' defense attorney, Philip Padovano, told jurors there is no tangible evidence tying the client to the crime. He said that they should consider the source of the allegations. The issue you're going to have to decide is whether to believe him, the defense attorney said of Winchester. All you're going to have to go on is the word of a man who actually committed the murder. I mean, there's the whole thing about the life insurance. There's that. Poor Florida man. He could just never catch a break. Murdered by his own best friend, so his wife could collect on the life insurance money. Oh. Poor Florida man. He's been a source of joy for us for so long, and now it will just never be again. How very sad. I already miss Florida man, and I think I will continue to miss Florida man until tomorrow when he returns in the news, as he always does. But yeah, $1.75 million. I mean, at least a little bit of motive. Goose. How is Goose abusing mod powers? Dashboard. I don't see you abusing your... Okay, you're just saying you're going to abuse your... Well, don't. You're only threatening. Okay, yeah, well, don't. Because I can check. I can check and see if you've abused your mod powers. So don't do it. That's a good way to lose your mod powers. Reminds me. Oh. Which of course reminds me, Arch is not a mod there. You can have a wrench. Save it for Dom. I think Dom is going to lose his wrench the next time he comes to my stream because he hasn't been here. But I hadn't been here for a while, so I've changed my mind. He won't lose his wrench. For now. So. Should Roy? Yeah, Roy should have a wrench. He comes. He probably won't abuse new people. There we go. The second you see Dom and he's okay. That's fair. That's fair. He has a little bit of a bad habit. Oh goodness. Me as well. My kettle decided to quit working. Awful. If your kettle is working, buy yourself a very handsome mug. If you enjoyed the stream, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more, you can subscribe. And if you'd like that subscription to mean anything, please go ahead and hit the bell. If you want to help out the show, please go to redbubble.com/people/REFIELD, Refield, however you would like to pronounce it. I did? Did I time out Roy? I did! How do I undo? Sorry, Roy. Oh no! There. Whoops. No, I can just pull him out. They're conspiring, I swear they are. If you would like to sow the field, you can go to paypal.me/fieldhawk. And as always, have a great evening, and never forget that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Sorry, Roy. I missed. I fixed it. I think.